Hey there YouTube, got another online battle replay. This one is Arverni versus Carthage. We'll get in here and go over army composition. I'd kind of expected my opponent being Carthage to... I was kind of worried he would bring elephants, and so that was why I brought a couple of these Celtic youths. But he actually went fairly cav heavy. He's got a noble cav general and 2 Carthaginian cav on either flank, and then he's got these 2 mercenary Numidian cavalry, and then a late Libyan hoplite and a mercenary Samnite warrior, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think it was 7 Libyan infantry, and then another late Libyan hoplite. And I've got the usual 2 Oathsworn, 5 Celtic swords, 4 chosen swordsmen, 2 Levy freemen, a spear warrior, and like I said, 2 Celtic youths. I was kind of worried my opponent would camp up there on the hill, but he ended up coming down. I see him really pushing a lot of cav on my left flank, so I start moving my spears and skirmishers to support. Excuse me. So I'm just at this point I'm just kind of trying to figure out how I'm going to approach this and how I'm going to line up to engage my opponent. But he's really spread out in this long line on that hill. He's got plenty of cav to support his flanks. So my plan is, what I'm going to do is try to use some of my infantry and my skirmishers to guard this flank and then just straight up engage him. And just kind of see where it goes from there, see if I can force his cavalry to come in, and that way I can engage them with infantry support, because he's got enough cav. That's really the only way I'm going to be able to win a cav fight. And his Libyan infantry are better than my Celtic warriors, so really what I've got to hope is the Celtic warriors can wear him down enough before my chosen swordsman and Oathsworn get into him. So like I said, I'm just going to go ahead in here and charge. I'm going to use my infantry and my skirmishers to keep him screened over here. And my other plan had been that I was going to use these infantry to kind of wall off and force them to make a long march in. But in the rush to get my orders, they end up just getting this little blob right here, and that totally got me completely screwed up. Meanwhile, I'm trying over here to get my guys set up. So it takes me a while before I see this mess. But I see this gap, and so I'm going to go ahead and throw my infantry through it. And now you can see I'm going to start trying to get my infantry straightened up over there. Again, on this flank over here, he's got his Numidian cavalry thrown in here, but it's holding out for me all right. I really do need to support them, but I'm just kind of worried. I'm just trying to micro everywhere, and there's a lot going on. I do end up getting a rear charge with my heavy horse here, but my opponent kind of makes a mistake and throws both cavalry units on there, and that really wasn't necessary. I see a lot of people doing stuff like this, and I know I've done it sometimes, just grabbing units and start throwing them in. But it's not really needed, and the charge isn't good because he ends up charging into the back of his own guys. It would have been a lot more beneficial to him if he had snaked that unit in here and either gone after my skirmishers or forced me to engage, do something. But anyway, I end up, he really starts getting a waiver here. He wraps up that one unit. I'm going to charge in my heavy horse here, try to keep him delayed. My opponent, though, makes a mistake. He keeps a lot of these cav units back here for much of the fight, and he only starts bringing them in now. But you can see here, too, like he's got his cav units just kind of standing off a lot. I'm going to pull this heavy horse out and try to set up a rear charge. Yeah, you see here he gets into my skirmishers. I'm just going to kind of try to sacrifice that skirmisher and get my infantry in here. I'm going to try to get a rear charge here from my Oathsworn on these Libyan infantry, and that's not going to be too well for my spear warriors, but the my Oathsworn general should help that out and should clean up those Libyan infantry here real quick. Again, the fight in the center is not going well for me at all, but I'm doing well enough on the flanks. I get this rear charge here on these late Libyan hoplites, but he charges in and pins my cav. And right now I'm just trying to set up my infantry screens, trying to keep him from getting good rear charges on any of my units. I've got this heavy horse here. He's got all these units tied up, and he really needs to be getting them out and having, engaging them in other places. But they're just held up here by my heavy horse, so I'm going to go ahead and charge in my Oathsworn. And you can see I've got my spear unit set up here to screen his infantry charges. And then I've got this Celtic youth here that was thrown into this infantry blob here, but now I'm going to use this and try to pin his general and see if I can kill his general. Again, he's blobbed up over here on the flank, and I've really got to try to do something here on the center. But I feel like he's got a lot of cavalry left, but I've got a lot of infantry. So I'm feeling pretty good about this fight at this point. He starts trying to pull his infantry out, but he's got him just chasing after my cavalry and not really doing anything. He needs to either set up some kind of a screen or get them over here and attacking some of my infantry in some of these engagements, trying to turn them around. Again, he's got this huge cavalry blob over here. He should probably try to pull out of that and get him someplace where they'll be more effective. But again, I've got my Oathsworn general here is about to wrap up another unit of Libyan infantry. 222 kills there, very nice. You can see, just kind of leave it. These units really aren't meant to kill anybody, but I'm just using them. Cheap spear units act as a screen, prevent him from making any rear charges. And again, just running my units around here, trying to keep him from forming up anywhere. And at this point, his infantry is pretty much all gone. He's got a few cav left, and it just takes a while for the final units to start routing here. But I felt like this was actually a really close fight. I mean, once he broke through my center, if he had his cavalry swinging really far at the beginning of the fight, I think if he had him in closer, and if he had just charged in one at the beginning of the fight, if he had just charged in one of those Carthaginian cav to pin my heavy horse, and then sent the other one through, go after my skirmishers, or something like that, I think that would have gone better for him. Like I said, I made several mistakes on this fight, but my opponent made some mistakes as well, and I was able to turn it around. I know a lot of people complain about the infantry heavy builds that get used a lot, but I feel like the infantry heavy builds are typically more forgiving, whereas if you go with cavalry heavy, you really need your cavalry to get a lot of kills, and that just doesn't happen unless you get them into a good spot. Again, this Oathsworn doing very well. My heavy horse, some of them doing alright, this one not so well. Celtic Youth, this is probably the one that I sacrificed to his cav charge. This one doing quite well. My Celtic Swords, some of them doing okay, some of them not so much. Chosen Swords, again, mixed. Spear units, Levy 54 kills on a Levy Freeman, wow. And 97 on an Oathsworn, that's eh. But these were probably, I had these units a lot, just setting up, screening, trying to prevent him from charging in. You can see his cavalry not doing so well. His noble blood cav, wow, 201 kills, that's fantastic. But part of that was probably, he got a whole unit of Celtic Youths here. That's not really worth it. These units are really expensive. I don't know that he really made that worth it either. Late Libyan Hoplite. Yeah, some of these units doing pretty well, some of them not so much. But again, at the end, I mean, I had, yeah, 500 more than 500 more men than my opponent. So I mean, as the fight just ground on, he just didn't have enough men at the end of the fight. So that's what really turned the fight in my favor. But anyway, good game to my opponent here. I really enjoyed this fight. And as usual with YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, and all that usual. Let me know what you think. Gorthar Gaming, signing off for now.